lens. Sure my forehead doesn't like look huge?
Looks good.
Okay.
Alright. I'm already recorded with it anyway, so.
Alright. Alright.
Vernon,
So now you know. Now you know more stuff about dice. And hopefully that will help you get kind of a leg up when you try to get in, or when you do get into, that didn't go very well. My head.
I don't have anything yet. I got the die and just the top of your head.
Okay. I don't want the top of my head.
Alright, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Die is in the center of the camera.
Okay.
Alright, whenever you're ready.
This is the big one. Hello! Welcome to Geek Starter Levels! So, I wanted to do this show because I came to Geek a little bit late in life. I mean, I always liked books and, like, you know, The Lord of the Rings and Chronicles of Narnia and board games, that kind of thing when I was little, but I don't know, there was a lot of stuff. I married a geek, and he already knew, like, Dungeons and Dragons and various video game things, and I had no idea what was going on. And so people would talk about stuff like, you should just know this. There would be abbreviations, and I had no idea what was going on. And so I wanted to do the show to talk about stuff that I remember really puzzling me, or just stuff that I wasn't familiar with when I got started, so that maybe someone else can benefit from my experience. So anyway, we're going to call this Geek Starter Levels. Probably going to have to edit that in post. That's okay. So today we're going to talk about dice. And dice, you are probably used to thinking of dice as like this guy, this little, you know, D6, black and white. I mean, maybe if you're fancy, you got one that's like a little tiny, or possibly like colors, woohoo! But let me tell you, this is just the bare minimum of dice. So, dice, okay. Most of the time, when you're gonna run into like oddly shaped dice, or dice you wouldn't normally think of, it's gonna be in a role-playing game called an RPG. Well, that's just the abbreviation for it. And there are lots of different shapes and sizes, but the basic ones are gonna be like a D4, a D6, and so when it's D, it's like dice 4, and so the D stands for dice, and then the number stands for how many sides it has. So D4, D6, D8, D12, and D20 are going to be the main ones. So normally I'm just referring to Dungeons and Dragons because that's the one that I'm most familiar with, and it's kind of like the foundation for most role-playing games that are out there. There are some ones that are based on different things, but anyway, so we have, let's see, dice, all kinds of dice. Well, first let me tell you, these dice right here, like, you can get dice, they literally sell them out of bins. I've seen them sell them, like, so if you've ever been to Dragon Con, they always have like this one huge lane of dice, and you can like scoop it out by the mug, you can like pick them, you pay by the pound. Like, it is thankfully not difficult to get a hold of dice. So these were our kind of last haul or whatever from Dragon Con. We just kind of went, we got to pick through and find all of the like really pretty dice that we wanted. And so I guess I got a little sidetracked. We'll go back to talking about the different sizes that you probably want to deal with in D&D. And, alright, here. So this is kind of the basic, there we go, sorry. The basic set of dice that you're going to need when dealing with D&D. So, we have your D4. Let's see if you can see that. You know what, this color is not very good. I'm going to go with this one because I feel like that's going to work a little better on camera. So, we have the D4, a cute little guy with a little pyramid. Some people also call this the caltrop, and if, like, it takes some getting used to rolling it because it can just slide, which is freaking irritating. So, D4, little D4, and then we have your D6, which is like the kind that you're used to seeing. So just little 6-sided dice. we have, alright, let's make sure I don't embarrass myself. So D8, yeah, so D8's the little like diamond guy. And then D12, I'm pretty sure I've done this right. I might have screwed it up, I have to go back and fix this later, but alright, so D12, this little dude. And, oh, I skipped one, D10. So D10 is going to look like that. It's a little, kind of a diamond, but then more rolly. So reverse those, D10, D12. And then we have, so this one is like a percentile die. So it's got like 10, 20, 30, etc. all the way through 90. And so you can use it in conjunction with another dice to make like 100. So like you roll this one and then you roll a d10 to make like, so you would be like, if you roll this one, then you come up with 40, then you roll the d10 and it's got a 5 on it, then you know you've rolled 45. So anyway, this percentile die is also used for random different rolls that don't occur to me right now, but they can be very useful. And then there's this one, the d20. This is the big one. This is the big guy. This is the guy that you really hope rolls well. This is the guy that you're always going to be rolling in D&D, or whatever your preferred platform is. It's the big one. It's the one that you like roll and you try to warm it up real well. And oh yeah, so that brings us to some superstitions that various gamers have. And I have found myself falling more and more into them. I used to be like, oh, I am never going to need multiple sets of dice. Ha ha! Okay, so you really only need one set of dice, but do you only want one set of dice? No. You're gonna want more than one. Partially because they are so beautiful. Like, alright, so you can get dice, you can go on Amazon and you can order like sets of these dice, you know, the dice that are like D4, you know, the typical set that I just told you about. You can order something like 10 sets of those for like 10 or 15 bucks. Like you can get a whole bunch of them, but you can also get some that look like more beautiful or whatever. And ChessX is a big one. ChessX is a big company that does a lot of dice, and they sell them. They look like this. So it'll come in this little kind of rectangular cubey thing, and you get your set of dice, and they're really pretty. So like I've got this pink set, I've got this purple set that I showed you earlier, but I felt like it didn't really show up against the table. So, but it's really lovely, and I enjoy it. And then I have this like kind of tie-dye set, which is pretty great. And it comes in all kinds of different colors. So this is one that a friend gave to me. He had bought the like pack of 10 million sets of dice, and he's like, I don't need all these dice. Do you want some dice? And I'm like, actually, these are Jeff's dice. See, we have many sets of dice. Alright, so these are the ones that my friend gave me. But yeah, so they're really lovely, and you can get a hold of a lot of them pretty easily. So that is very good. Oh, I was talking about superstitions. Okay, so a lot of people will have more than one set of dice, because if they're rolling with a set of dice and they start to roll crappy, they'll be like, well, these dice are out. And they will like set those off to the side and bring in a new set. And I used to not do that, but I do that now. And there's some other like superstitions and stuff, like you roll to warm up your dice. You roll to get like the bad rolls out. But then there's like the opposite one where it's like you don't want to roll too much because you're gonna like burn up all your good rolls. There's a really fun article on Geek and Sundry that I will link to down below that talks about some of like all kinds of different superstitions that gamers have about their dice. So we've talked about the different shapes of like numerical dice, but then there's also dice that you can get a hold of. Pardon me. There's also dice you can get a hold of that different games will essentially make their own special dice. It won't have like numbers or anything on it. It'll have symbols. And so these dice are ones that I use for the Star Wars RPG. And these are made by Fantasy Flight. And so Fantasy Flight was like, pish and tosh with this whole numerical business. We want to have our own symbols. And so they do. That's exactly what they did. They designed their own set of symbols, and they put them on dice, and then there's like a prescribed set of dice that you'll roll for any given situation. But yeah, so there's kind of like pluses and minuses to that. The minus is that, I mean, you have to learn kind of a new system, but you do with any game, essentially. And then the plus is like, you don't have to do as much math. So, that's always good. And, let's see, I think I've about covered it. Except, alright, so I was doing some research about dice, and I went down a bit of a rabbit hole, and I have one or two tidbits that I thought were kind of fun. So, dice so it's dice plural and die singular, which I always get messed up. Well, not always, but I tend to have a difficult time with them. So I just call them all dice, even if it's singular, whatever, it's dice. And dice have been around like forever, and they used to be used for fortune telling, and now they're used to introduce like just kind of a sense of randomness into a game, which they do very well. And kind of one more historical fact. I didn't know there are like left-handed and right-handed dice, but like, so the numbers 1, 2, and 3 will share a vertex on a dice, like on a d6. You know, find it. Yeah, so like right there, 1, 2, and 3 will share a vertex on a dice, and it's like if it goes. Let me make sure I get this right. So if it goes counterclockwise, it's right-handed and like a Western die, and then if it goes clockwise, so left-handed, which I'm doing that wrong, sorry, it's like an Eastern die, which I did not know, but I thought that was kind of fun. And so that is what I know about dice. So now you know more about dice, and hopefully that will help you as you get into this lovely world of gaming. And but yeah, so if you enjoyed this video, please like it, please subscribe to the channel, and don't forget our Patreon, one of those. Anyway, don't forget to sign up if you enjoy what we do and want to support us and help us grow. That would be amazing. Anyway, I will be back with more Geek starter levels, and please feel free. I would love to hear your comments. You know, make comments down below, and if you have anything you would just love to learn about, let me know, and I will do my best to cover it. So, thanks. Bye! The end. What do you think?
Sounded good.
Did I just sound really weird?
No.